Hey guys, welcome to the podcast of interviews with WeTalkFinance. And today we have Wassim that will guide us through his journey in the finance industry. Wassim, first of all, thank you for being here.
Thank you for the invite.
Well, of course. So first of all, I like to start from the roots, let's say. So let's go back maybe to your student years. So you went to engineering, actually, engineering school in Lyon. How did you come up with the choice of doing engineering?
Why engineering? Yeah. Well, I grew up in the suburb of Paris. Obviously, I didn't know much about what I wanted to do when I grew up, like many other people.
Yeah.
I was good at math and physics. One of my teachers, I was very lucky. He told me you should do those preparatory classes and try to get into one of those, and then you'll do a lot of math, a lot of physics, and you'll be able to make a choice. But the thing is that when you get into that, then the next step is to go into engineering.
Yeah, makes sense.
Which I liked a lot. So that's how I ended up joining this school. I wanted a general engineering degree. So I was also.
So you weren't too constrained.
I was good enough to be able to get into this school.
Yeah.
So it was also. I was very happy with it.
Okay.
Yeah.
And this was, let's say, for the first 2 years. Like, how did you? How were your courses? Like, did you have already any project for finance, or like how did your interest in finance come up?
Yeah, that's a good question. So, you join this engineering school. For 2 years, you have almost every course you can have on engineering. So fluid mechanics, materials, software, mathematics, anything that you can think of. But at the same time, you also need to think about what you want to do next after this school. Because then there's no school after. Then you have to work and you have to actually find a job.
Yeah.
And I was doing a lot of research, mainly first just reading on internet, then trying to contact alumni from the school, going to conference, and that's how one day I just went to a conference on finance, learned about something called corporate finance that I didn't know about because I didn't know the difference between financial markets and corporate finance, and then I digged into that, learned about audit, transaction services, M&A, venture capital, private equity. That's how it started.
Okay.
But then you can talk to people, to as many people as you want. At some point, you also need to try.
And was it common by any chance, like between your peers, that moving from engineering to a more finance related degree?
I would say it happens in France because of how the school system is structured in those engineering schools, general engineering schools. Many people go into very different sectors. For example, I had my graduation ceremony in February. I saw many friends, and I think few of them do the same job. Some people are teachers now. Some are mechanical engineers, electrical engineers.
Opposite extremes.
Yeah, everything, because each of us chooses his path.
Okay. Yeah.
So that's how it goes. But I would say maybe 10% of the people went to finance. Something like that. Yeah, we're not much.
All right. Yeah. And I guess one of the first things that you heard about finance, or at least the careers in finance, was investment banking. So
of course,
that's
always how you start.
Always. That's where everybody starts, basically.
Yeah.
And then you chose, I guess, between the second and the third year to apply for some investment banking jobs or internships. And what did you find most useful from your engineering degree for the applications for finance, and what did you find maybe something the hardest that you found there?
I think you have to make the difference between finding the first internship and finding the others.
Okay, yeah. Let's keep the first one.
The first one, the one when I did, so my first internship was a 5 months internship in Morocco in mergers and acquisitions. So it was investment banking because I did M&A, DCM, ECM. Well, being an engineer didn't help more than being in a business school. The first internship is always difficult to find. Yeah. Very difficult. Maybe more difficult in engineering because you don't have that huge network of people from your school in the industry. Because most of us still go to engineering. So it was very hard to find one. I was looking everywhere: Paris, London, Morocco, and it was a very good opportunity that I had because I was able to do my first internship in investment banking.
Yeah, which is absolutely amazing.
Yeah, and it was very like it determined all the next steps.
Yeah, the course of your
because
career.
then that's because of this internship I was able to get into transaction services for the first gap year internship, and that's how I was able to do that many internships and many good internships, if I can say.
Yeah. And for like your first internship, you mentioned M&A, ECM, DCM, and you kind of got exposure to, I guess, all of the three, right?
Yeah. I mainly worked on an IPO for a company called Agdital, which is a chain of clinical facilities in Morocco. Very fast growing. It's impressive because when we did the IPO, it was 2022. The valuation was 300 million. I checked a few weeks ago, it was more than 2 billion.
Damn.
It's a very... I wish I was an investor in this company, but I was too young. I was still in high school.
And in what exchange did they IPO?
The Moroccan exchange.
Casablanca. And could you maybe break down what's the difference between M&A, ECM, DCM for the students that are listening?
Yeah, sure. So if I start with M&A, it's about mergers and acquisitions. So helping a company, if you can be on the buy side or the sell side. So getting acquired or acquiring. That's for M&A. You just provide services to help the company get into this process. And then, if I move to ECM and DCM, it basically relates to the way a company can finance itself, either with equity or with debt. So equity capital market, ECM, debt capital market, DCM.
Okay.
So the job is to help them raise equity. It can be usually if investment banking does it, it can be through private investors like venture capital or private equity. It can be also with how to call it in English, I don't know. But you can do it through the market. So IPO or just issue some new shares on the IPO on the market. Okay,
perfect. And did you mentioned briefly also the transaction services internship after the investment banking?
So that was the next one, back in Paris.
And before diving into it, what do you think are the main differences between transaction services at Big Four like PwC and in the pure investment banking?
I think. So if I go back to how I decided to do all my internship, because there was a story behind that.
Please.
The story around that is that if you look at mergers and acquisitions, you have many people involved in that. You have the investment bankers, you have the transaction services, you have the seller, you have the buyer. And my goal was to work with as many of them as I could. And that's what I did. So I started with M&A, then did transaction services, then venture capital.
The buy side,
Private equity could also be a buy side, but but let's talk about that later. And so that was the story. And now if I talk about the difference, usually the metaphor that you have to explain it is if you want to buy a house, you're a buyer. You have the real estate agent. He tries to sell the place to you. That's the investment banker. His job is to manage the process, try to find the buyer, help the seller. That's the investment banker. And then, once you decide to buy the place, you bring a guy to make sure that when they told you it was 60 square meters, he checks that it's actually 60 square meters, that everything they told you is right. That's what transaction services do. So it's audit for a transaction.
That's a really clear metaphor. Thank you.
So I would say it's a different job that I also liked a lot. And with PwC, it's like a school. You learn so much. I learned so many things about Excel, how to build a model, how to structure it. That was the story behind PwC. And so you do less slides, you do more Excel.
I see. And for the maybe even going back to before the first internship, for the application, as of course you were coming from an engineering background, were there any particular resources that you used, or how did you prepare for a proper investment banking interview, which I guess it's famous to be pretty tough?
Yeah, I would say there were two things. The first one was all the materials that you can find on internet, that you can find through friends, PDFs to prepare, like people already made those nice documents that you can use. And then the other very important thing was calling people. Calling interns or analysts. It's harder to call analysts in investment banking because usually they're very busy. But if you can just call people in the bank before going to the interview, is very helpful, because the technical part you will learn it with the documents, but all the the fit interview,
cultural,
you will get through it because you talk to someone from there.
Yeah.
Because they're the only one who really can give you very precise information on the culture at the firm, what you do as an intern, and you need to know that when you go. It makes a big difference.
Yeah, of course. Maybe it makes you also realize what you're gonna do and if you even like it. So
of course,
that's a big part.
Of course,
as well.
That's very important.
Yeah,
this one is very important.
Yeah,
you need, before trying to apply, I think you also need to contact people just to know about their job, to choose what you want to know, or at least what you want to do, or at least to know all of your options.
Did you use actually a lot of LinkedIn in this process?
A lot.
Yeah, a lot.
I think if I show you my phone, you won't get to the end of the feed. No, you won't get to the end. Yeah.
Okay, I see. No, I'm the same. But just at the start. Just at the start.
No, that's good. That's good. Yeah.
And so the investment banking, the transaction services. So these were like kind of one side of the process, and then you decide to go to the buy side. So as we said, venture capital at BPI France, right?
Exactly.
Was it because of this reason that you just explained that you wanted to get into each other's every person's shoes, let's say, and you want to see actually like all the various sides of the process?
So there were three things. The first one was that I wanted to see the other side, the buy side.
Yeah.
The second thing was that I did very financial things with M&A and transaction services, and I wanted to know more, to see more about the strategy side. So looking at the markets, competition, the product, and you can also do that. You can do that if you go to venture capital or private equity. More, I think, if you go to venture capital, but you also do it in private equity. That was the second reason, and the last one was actually when my engineering background kicked in again. I said, okay, I still need to do something with that. I did some nice internships. It was really finance, but I'm not using what I learned for the last 2 years.
Yeah.
So I did venture capital, and the last thing about engineering brought me to climate investment.
Okay.
There were also other reasons to do climate investment, but that's how I decided to do that.
Yeah.
And I did the interview with BPI France, the Green Venture Fund.
Yeah.
The process was really nice. I really liked the case study, and I said, okay, why not trying it?
Yeah, and could you maybe guide us through a typical application process of a VC fund?
Yeah, well, usually, if you're lucky, you see the offer and you just apply, and you send a cover letter. Some funds, now for interns, you always see the applications. I think you always have a link. So you usually have sometimes to write a cover letter, sometimes to share a company that you like in their portfolio. You write a paragraph. Best way to do that is to just read about VC, talk to people, and be aware of what's happening. You don't need to know everything, but you need to know some things that you can talk about, and it's the same for the process. So you need to know some things that you are following, the sector that you're following, in which you know some companies, you like some companies, and you can talk about that.
Yeah, you need to be passionate in the first
place, exactly.
So that they can also see it.
You don't need to know everything, but you need to know well what you know.
Yeah, no, exactly. That's a nice way to put it. So there's a kind of first screening, CV, motivation letter, portfolio companies that you like, then directly usually a behavioral interview, and then case study. I would say maybe.
Usually you have a mix of both. So you have fit. It's always a mix of both.
Yeah.
Fit questions, and then always a case study. So it can be simulating a call with the founder.
Oh.
So which question would you ask, and then would you invest in the company? It can be reviewing a pitch deck, those kind of things. So it's not very surprising. It's what you would do on the job.
Yeah.
And so I like it because then you just do the process, and you can already know if you would like kind of internships or this job. That's why I liked the interview at BPI France and decided that I wanted to give it a try.
Yeah.
But I was also lucky to get the offer, I think, for the internship.
Of course, yeah. But no, I would definitely say that the engineering background probably helped also, because I'm kind of realizing now that in the VC ecosystem, engineers, physicians, chemistry people, like they're really like decided because of like deep tech, climate tech funds.
Yeah, I think it goes both ways, because for me it's more stimulating. It relates to what I studied and I like it. It's the topics that I like during my studies. And for the funds, usually in some topics, if it's a lot of hardware, very deep tech, then it's easier for you to grasp the topics. But I think like you're not building the company, so even if you have a business degree, you can still understand a lot of things. And that's what that's what a lot of people like about VC. You learn a lot. You learn a lot.
Yeah, no, it is very nice. And then BPI France is also a government-backed VC fund. Did you notice like anything in particular related to that aspect, or it was just like in the background? And
no, but what I liked about it is that it's like the model of BPI France is pretty different from what you might have with other sovereign funds.
Okay.
Because the fund is autonomous, so the money it invests is public money. Okay. But the money that pays your salary, it's money that was made by BPI France with its activities.
Okay.
So it's a self-financed company, profitable, and that's the good part about it. Because then it's able. Obviously, you still have some things because it's public, but you still have a lot. You really act like an investor, I would say, and you really get to see the job.
Okay. The
VC job.
And did you already like in the first VC internship go through like a live deal or? No, not through an investment. Okay. Not through something that led to an investment. But I went far in like 2 or 3 processes. So I was able to see pretty much of. I saw a lot of things because I worked on the investment and on 3 investments. All right. Which didn't lead to actually do the investment, but we went far into the process. So I went to the company visit, went through the data room. Worked on the market analysis, competitive analysis, talking to experts, everything you would do in due diligence. I saw most of it during this internship. Actually, we can go maybe into the job because No, of course, Like as a follow-up questions, I wanted to ask you like, what's a typical like investment process in the VC industry? Like how can you describe it? Yeah, so you have you would do 2 or 3 things as a VC, as an intern, or even as a junior. First one would be on the sourcing, so actually finding the companies. Second one would be to talk to the founders, do some initial analysis to just decide if it fits with the investment thesis of the fund, if we should spend more time on it. And then you go into the investment process when you actually decide to spend more time on it, and that's when you start asking some questions. So you would have like again 2 or 3 things. First one would be to go through the data room, go through all the documents, and asking questions. Second one would be to meet the team, talk to experts, and really gather additional data. And last one would be to wrap up your mind around it, make a decision, and go to the next phase about the negotiation, how you structure the deal. That's also the beauty of this job, because you do a lot of things. You kind of the finance, the strategy, but then in the end it also moves to the legal part. Indeed. There's also some part of science, because you also talk a lot to professionals to just grasp the idea, and maybe understand the competitive advantage that. That's a very cool part, because you get to talk to so many experts in the industry for an hour, like someone you would never talk to as a junior. You talk to the CEO of some big companies that could be a client of this startup. And you ask questions for about an hour. Carbon capture, and you learn a lot of things, because those people, they've been like for 30 years on the job. They learn so much, and they're open to share this knowledge with you.
and you learn a lot.
Yeah. And you mentioned also, like at the beginning, you need to see if the deal matches the investment thesis of the fund.
Yeah.
Like what was the investment thesis at BPI?
At BPI, it was Series A and B investment, so tickets between 2 and 10 million, only in France, and it was climate focused, so energy, mobility, agriculture, smart cities. I don't think I'm forgetting something, but it's pretty broad already. And then it was mainly hardware.
Mainly hardware.
Yeah.
Okay.
Could be mix of hardware and software, but we didn't do. We were able to do it, but it was not the core thesis.
Okay.
The core thesis was really on hardware.
So it's kind of already like a later stage. Did you was it on purpose? Like, did you want to apply to BPI also because of this later stage focus, or were you open also to some pre-seed seed?
Funds? Before that I did transaction services, which was very quantitative.
Yeah.
And I wanted to still keep some kind of quantity in the analysis. So I wanted to see at least Series A.
Okay,
but that's also what led me to then do growth equity. Okay. Because I wanted to see more. Like a quantitative analysis, more financial analysis. Yeah.
Okay, and like talking about the growth equity internship afterwards at Partech. Like as Series A and Series B, like you liked it very much. You wanted more quantitative, so you went to a growth equity. Could you like describe more like the difference between a normal VC fund and a growth equity fund?
Yeah, sure. So it really relates to the maturity of the company. So when it's still very small, still trying to find its clients, or it's what we call product market fit, you would be around the pre-seed stage. When this part is done and you start trying to replicate the sales, scaling, you would be close to the Series A. And then you get to that phase when you are getting bigger and bigger, and you need to also establish a good position on your market, being one of the leader, reaching profitability, with still some nice growth, and that's when the growth equity comes. It's between private equity that looks for a profitable company, steady growth, stuff like that, like
stable cash flows, no risk.
Something really nice looking, and between venture capital that does Series A with still a very high risk. So you're in the middle, kind of the last investor, and that's what you do in growth equity.
And relating to like your first two internships, like how were they useful for your future jobs? In venture capital and growth equity. Like what were the main, let's say, takeaways or like the key knowledge that you used?
I think the transaction services really helped on being very structured and analytical, especially on Excel, so able to go through any model quickly, being able to play with it and extract the analysis. I would say with M&A it was more on the being able to find the information quickly, to be able to also work on PowerPoint, to structure slides, but it's also about how you think about it. It's not only about putting the logos, it's also about how you think about it. So that was also helpful, but I definitely learned a lot about slides also when I was at Partech.
I didn't see that coming. And at Partech, like, were there any major differences in your like responsibilities, day-to-day activities in comparison to BPI?
When you do Series A, you spend a lot of time on first looking at the product, the company, its competition, and because you have less data, you look at the business plan and the model later. I would say that with growth equity, you first start with the historical data, analyzing the customer data, how much revenues they made, how is it built. How is it growing, proportion of new customers, upsell, those kind of things, and you always look at the same number of things: market, competition, people, and the rest. But you don't look at it with the same weight and in the same order between venture capital and growth equity.
And Apartec, regarding their investment thesis, was it still like regarding their vertical? Was it still focused on climate tech?
It was impact. So you had climate.
Yeah.
Everything I said before, but you also had education and healthcare.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And was there like any particular deal that you followed Apartec?
Yeah, I worked on a deal in education. Then I worked on a deal in agriculture, and then also on some other deals in energy. Smart infrastructure.
Okay, let me guess. Energy was your favorite.
Yeah. I really liked energy, and when I was also at BPI France, I worked on a deal in energy. So that came back many times.
Yeah.
And also when I was studying, what I liked the most in my studies was electrical and mechanical engineering.
Okay.
So things that were very related to industry, and. Well, if you like electrical engineering, you might like energy.
yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah.
So as you like so much energy and kind of later stage VC funds, you ended up like here at Set Ventures. Yeah, how was the transition from
the
Paris?
Story from that? Yeah. You also have the story of why going to Amsterdam and not staying in Paris. But the thing is that so I knew I liked energy. It's also very hard to get into VC. So my criteria was to at least get climate.
Yeah.
So it could be only energy, that would be the best thing, and then otherwise climate.
Yeah.
That was one criteria. Then I wanted to join a fund that had a pretty nice track record, many years in the industry, where I knew I could learn a lot from them. That was second criteria, and then location was not a criteria.
Okay, it was just
because if you also try to add location, you need to be very lucky to get a job somewhere in this.
Yeah, it gets pretty messy.
Because another criteria was also on the stage. So I wanted to do something that was not too early. So Series A was the threshold.
Yeah.
And then gross equity was also in scope. Private equity, no, because otherwise it would have been also too difficult to get there. They're not looking for the same profiles. The gap here would have to be structured more around M&A, maybe private equity also during the gap year, but it was different. I don't know. I didn't try it. So that was the thought process, and then when you try to apply to find funds that are actually recruiting and respecting all the criteria.
Yeah, just
maybe you have 5 or 10 funds max. And I was lucky. Like that said, had an offer, a position open at the time that I knew about them because we were in touch already at Partech.
Okay.
We had co-hosted a drink together or a dinner in Paris.
Okay.
So that's how I knew about them, knew that it was a nice fund and a nice team, and that's how the story started. Yeah.
Okay. And what were the options? Like there was Amsterdam, maybe there was also something in Paris. You said before you were also willing to go to London.
So I had applied to as many funds as I could. I had interviews in Spain, in London.
Yeah, Spain is a big VC growing market.
I don't know much about that, to be honest. I knew one fund that was doing energy, that was good.
Yeah, so me as well.
I applied, top of my list also. And then I also had interviews in London, in Germany. I think there was another one in Amsterdam.
Okay, and how come you chose?
But I didn't go far with the other interviews.
Okay.
The two processes that went far was the one in Spain and the one with SET, because then it was once I got the offer at SET, I just stopped everything.
Okay. It was kind of also.
It was top of the list because it was energy.
I
was not lying.
It was like the perfect profile of the fund.
I knew what I wanted.
And that's also really important.
So once I got the offer, I knew it was top of the list.
So basically, let's do it like a timeline. In 2024, you finished your bachelor at Lyon, and then you moved after summer here in Amsterdam.
The master.
Sorry, master.
Not the same.
My bad. So first of all, how do you like Amsterdam? And then how's your process of the internship? How did you go, and how did you transform in actual investment analyst full time?
First, I really like Amsterdam. It's a nice city. I had never been there before. No, I had been there once when I was at Partech.
Okay.
Just visiting a company. It was my first time in Amsterdam. I said, "Oh, that's a nice city." And 4 months after, I was moving in.
Okay.
And it's funny because that's like when you're a student in Paris, the first thing you think about is going to London.
Yeah.
If you don't stay in Paris. But actually, Amsterdam is a pretty nice city, and
with lots of opportunities.
I'm lucky because the team is very great. Also,
yeah.
Great. So, yeah, I'm liking it a lot here. And then second question was
for during your internship, like how did you compare to the others, and like if you learned anything like new actually.
Yeah, I learned a lot because when you do climate, you don't go that deep into energy.
Okay.
So when doing only energy, you need to learn a lot about all aspects of energy. So the markets, the grid. I'm still learning a lot.
Actually, like I don't know much about the energy sector. Like, could you guide us through like what kind of markets there are? Like, what are the emerging ones? What interests you the most, actually?
Yeah, but maybe just finishing with the first one.
I'm sorry.
So I did my final year internship at Partech.
Yeah.
Then I did an internship at SET that lasted 3 months, and then I got the offer and started in January as full time. So when you join, well, it was a third internship in venture capital, so you know the thing. You have to work, you have to... Yeah, exactly. But the main difference is that I had to go back to Series A investment when you do more calls with founders. It's not exactly the same game as growth equity. It was, in my opinion, it's a different job. Because even the company you look at aren't the same. At the growth stage, they're making close to 10 million revenues. So it's companies that said so years ago.
No, of course.
When they were still making 1 million or less. So you're not even looking at the same kind of companies. And I also had to learn a lot on energy.
So a lot of like industry research and reading.
Because you need to get up to speed, otherwise you just don't understand anything.
Yeah.
Like, to be honest, I had only worked in French in Paris.
Of course.
At Partech we were speaking English, but I was not speaking that much, to be honest.
Okay, so it was kind of the first full English experience for you, like a working experience.
Exactly, because sometimes with the team you speak in French, and then when you go home you also speak in French.
Yeah.
But when I joined here, first call, I remember like you had a guy with an accent from, I think, Germany. I was not that good in English. He had the German accent using all the acronyms in energy. I was like, okay, I didn't get anything in that call.
Replay.
So I told that to my manager. I told her, to be honest, I didn't get anything. But then, so that's why you need to just do a lot of reading, listening to podcasts, and getting up to speed as much as you can, as fast as you can.
And going back to the question before, when you were actually getting up to speed, what markets like did you look at? What were the emerging ones? What interests you the most actually?
So it's pretty much related to the investment thesis, the sectors that we cover at SET. Because we cover the whole energy value chain. So you start with the grid, the utilities. So the one producing energy and the one that transport it to your house or to industrial. So transmission, distribution, and with that you'll have many companies for the market, for digitalization. That's one bucket. Then you have everything around mobility, electrifying mobilities, transport. For trucks, cars.
So all the EV market.
And then you have industry and built environment. So people's houses. And industrials. Again, on efficiency, it can be energy efficiency through renovation, heat pumps, IoT to measure your energy consumption, many things. And then we have also one bucket around distributed energy systems. So about solar, wind deployments, and also the solutions around that. For example, predictive maintenance. And the last one is what we call AI and enabling technologies. Which are all the technologies that helps to enable the energy transition. For example, one that I really like and that I'm spending a lot of time on recently is cybersecurity of energy infrastructures. So how to secure the grid, how to secure, for example, solar inverters, solar panels.
Okay.
You have a lot of things that you have to secure in the grid. So that's the last bucket, AI and enabling technologies.
And I guess for all of these, engineering has been super useful.
Well, useful, but still
a lot of work to do.
For example, if we're talking about cybersecurity, you need to learn a lot about software first, and you need to learn a lot about all the industrial topics. What's in a substation, how the data flows with which instruments, and all of those things. Maybe if you studied engineering, you understand it faster. I don't know, but you still have to learn it, and because you didn't learn it with your studies. But I think it helps because it's something I really like.
Yeah, and you kind of found your passion, energy. For now, it seems like it's the way to go.
Yeah.
Okay.
And what I really like the most is when it's very complicated, very industrial.
The most complicated, the biggest the challenge.
Yeah, something in an industry where you have too many stuff connected, too many complicated things to understand. That's when I like it, because you have to then try to dig into that.
And mainly it's you said reports, talking to professionals, reading articles.
Asking ChatGPT for links for a lot. No, it's very helpful. Asking for links. For reports, and sometimes I like to do some old school things like finding an old book from the 80s about electrical substations and just reading the book.
All right.
Not all the book, but some chapters.
What you need.
That's something that still works really well.
Okay.
But it's also very hard to find those books.
Yeah, no, of course, I imagine. And now that you mentioned it, what's the most useful AI that you use day to day? You said chat, but I know some people like also a lot.
I use three. There are three AIs that I use the most. One is Notebook LM.
Notebook LM,
This one when I want to understand the document.
Okay, yeah.
For example, I have pretty good situation where it was very helpful. So I had to read updates on French regulation.
Okay.
But the way the document was written, it was only mentioning the last one. So it was an update of a regulation, but it was written on the previous regulation, we modify this word.
Oh, okay.
And it was only that. So I just put the two documents into Notebook LM and was asking questions. And then I checked, it was very accurate.
All right.
So I use Notebook LM, then Perplexity when I want to find sources, data with sources. So reports, numbers, especially when you need numbers for market, something like that. And then ChatGPT for the rest.
All right, fair enough. So
pretty much everything.
I found out about Notebook LM kind of 1 year ago or something. Yeah. It's the most useful thing.
Yeah, it's very helpful.
And it's amazing what AI can do.
I wish I had it for my master's thesis.
Honestly, yeah. And I was also kind of curious, how's the difference between the work environment in Amsterdam compared to work culture in France?
I would say in VC it's pretty much the same everywhere. Maybe, I don't see much difference. Well, you see the difference maybe between the Dutch and French culture.
Okay.
Maybe being more direct, but you already know the things.
Indeed.
But I think it's better that way. Because at least you know what you need to know. And indeed. Because people tell it to you.
Which is pretty nice,
But other than that, I would say it's VC, so people have to work kind of the same ways, and because it's also very international, that's it, and was international also at Partech. It's similar.
And at SET, usually, of course, VC funds have a restricted team. Did you have also the opportunity to work closely, maybe with investment managers or partners, directly?
Yeah, that's what I like the most.
Yeah.
Because you get into calls with the partners who have more than 10 years of experience in energy transition startups, and they ask very precise questions, and they know where to go, how to lead the call. So you learn a lot from them, and also you can just read the old reports, the old investment memos, and you basically learn from everyone in the team. Because on the sourcing, for example, and many things that an analyst would do, you would just look at the other analysts or at the associates and see how they do, ask them how they do it. So I'm learning from everyone, I would say.
Yeah.
And that's what I like.
Yeah, no,
That's if an advice that you could give is that you need to try to learn from as many people as you can within the fund, because you learn different things each time. Even with two partners, you don't learn the same things.
Yeah.
Because they don't work the same way, don't ask the questions the same way.
No, so, I mean, one of the beauties of VC. Yeah. And also, like, usually everybody has kind of also different backgrounds and can provide like different perspectives in general. Also,
I agree. Yeah, you can see it at set. Some people come from banking, some people come from entrepreneur startups, and then you see that there are different views. They spend more time on different things. Some go straight to the product, some straight to the market. It's also different. It's interesting to see that. So because I also like to understand how things work. I maybe spend too much time on the technology.
I mean,
really trying to understand how it works. Sometimes reading the patent when there's one. But sometimes I just don't need to go that deep into the understanding.
Yeah, I mean, but
it's more for me.
That's also the beauty of like doing a work that you're actually passionate about. You just do it not because you need to work, but because you're interested.
Yeah, you just need to remember that you also need to.
That you also need to work. Okay, fair enough. And now looking overall at these 5 internships, like maybe like bringing back to like when you started your first one, like what was like some stereotypes that you had that you heard about finance that maybe like they weren't true, or maybe they were true and you can confirm them. If there were any, of course.
I don't want to say bad things.
It's okay.
No, but it's funny because usually when you study engineering, a lot of people don't really like going into finance. Like, are not have a pretty good opinion about finance. But I don't agree with it. At least for venture capital, I think it's a very nice job. You learn a lot of things, and you can at some point learn valuable things that you will be able to use again in startups or in the industry.
Maybe.
Sorry, I don't have much about that.
Don't worry. And now that you mentioned, like, maybe do you see yourself like keeping going with VC and then eventually having your own startup? Of course, like out of the 4 corners that you described, so like investment banking, transaction services, now like venture capital, there's the last one where you sell your company.
Well, that's a question that I think many people in VC are asking themselves.
$1 million question.
Exactly. Should I go to the other side of the table? The answer is that I still don't know, because I just started in VC. I'm giving myself some time now, because when I was studying, I was always thinking about the next move. Now I want to just enjoy what I'm doing, learn as much as I can, and then think about what's next, if I should just stay in VC or do something else. But no, that's a very good question, because many people are thinking, what if you go to a startup, what will you do? Should you co-found one? Should you join one? Should you do something else before?
My take honestly is like it's probably interesting, because once you see like so many startups, probably you will want to see, like do your own, in a sense. Like he's doing wrong, I know I can do this and this. There's this really nice idea.
It's easy to say.
Of course, it's easy. I feel like after like a while you can get a conviction. Like you have your network, and maybe you can also dive into it. But personally, I think. Of course, I still don't know, but I may get a little bored in a startup, because it's only like one sector where you specialize like a lot. Well, like in VC, you kind of like look at startups and you kind of look at different topics like every day. Basically, you need to become expert like immediately.
I think at some point you need to choose whether you want to stay generalist or not. Because I had this discussion with my friends when I was choosing to go only in energy. Why not going into a generalist fund? And it's a decision you have to make, whether you want to stay generalist because you're not ready or because you like it, or you at some point decide that you think it's best to specialize. So I decided to specialize in climate at some point, then more into energy. And I'm not afraid of that, because if I like it, why not choosing it and
no,
doing that?
of course, yeah.
So yeah, I wouldn't be scared in doing one thing, but it's also pretty much related to your personality.
Yeah, no, of course.
Some people like to do many things. Some people like to go deep into a few things.
Yeah, no, fair enough.
Yeah, I'm more into the second.
Into the second, yeah. And but I mean, I actually know quite some entrepreneurial mindset that you have. I know that you have you built a community for junior VCs.
Yeah, it's still very young.
You wanna maybe talk a little bit about it, or?
I can tell you the story.
Yeah. Please share.
So when I was in France, I did 2 internships in VC. So I had the opportunity to meet also many other interns, because we had a group called Next Gen VC that was bringing people together, all the juniors, and it was really nice, because you start an internship and you get to meet other VCs, analysts, interns. You can exchange on that, best practices and stuff like that. And when I came in Amsterdam, I didn't see that many events for juniors to meet others. You have events for VCs, you meet other VCs, other startups, but it's more informal when you're between interns and juniors.
Of course, yeah.
And I was having a coffee with another intern at Plug and Play, Alexis Massonnet, and we had a discussion about that, because he's also coming from France. Yeah. So we were talking about that, about the fact that it was so easy to meet other interns there. And then we decided to just create a WhatsApp group here to start it.
Yeah.
And then second thing was to bring some people together. So we added as many people as we could on the WhatsApp group, and then planned a first drink.
Which was
last week.
It
was a week ago.
It was super nice, actually.
Yeah, you came. It was really cool.
Yeah, no, of course.
It was really cool. We were about 20 people, and it's more informal. It's really nice to just know what everyone's doing. What brought us to VC?
Yeah, maybe ask questions that you wouldn't feel comfortable asking to a partner, maybe.
Yeah, because that was one of the reasons we decided to do that. Like, I'm lucky at SET. We're like 14 people, and I have other analysts, managers, associates. I have many people I can ask questions.
Yeah.
But you have also many funds where it's a small fund. You have like 4 or 5 people. The analyst maybe is the only analyst with partners, and then it's also. First, there are questions you don't really want to ask. You don't want to look like
the dumb questions.
Exactly, and the second thing is that also, like, you don't meet other juniors.
Yeah.
Like, you don't have this informal discussions with, like you had with your studies, with other students doing the same thing. Like, you have other people your age doing the same job and you don't know them. And I think it's too bad. You should know them.
It's too bad.
Yeah, you should know them.
You can fix that so easily. Like, just create a group chat and
so that's how it started.
Yeah.
So I had a call with one of the girls who started Next Gen VC in France. She shared some best practices with me, and then we tried to apply it now in Amsterdam.
Yeah, no, that's perfect.
But it's going well for now.
Yeah,
we're planning the next drink, and and then we'll try with lunch and maybe running also.
Do you wanna share the official name of the group?
Yeah, but I'm ashamed because I don't know the pronunciation.
Okay. We'll leave the link in the description for anyone that is interested.
Okay.
But yeah, maybe like to close off like this discussion. Do you maybe like I just have like 3 last questions.
Yeah.
First of all, but 2 related. What would you advise someone that actually wants to get either in investment banking, so like more traditional high finance, and then following that for venture capital? So.
Yeah, I think you have 3 things to decide.
All right.
First, you have to call many people, like just as many as you can. I called people in audit, transaction services, M&A, ECM, anything you see that you don't know about, just ask people in the industry what it's about.
Yeah. Then
you take notes, you read the notes, you do more research, and you decide what you may like or not. After that, second advice is to try. So you do a gap year if you can, do internships, try things. I did 5 internships. It's a lot, but in the end, looking back,
learned a lot.
Exactly, it was it was worth it looking back on it, because I learned many different things from different people in different industries, So that's the second advice. You should try it. It's easy to say, but then it's your job to get the internship.
Yeah, no, I mean, indeed. But I mean, in general, like people are more willing to talk than you would expect, I would say.
I agree.
That was
I
my
agree. Yeah. Don't be afraid to contact people.
Yeah.
Because you're happy to help, so people are also happy to help you.
Yeah.
And then the last thing, once you've done all of that, the calling, you've done the internship, don't be afraid to choose and to accept that you won't do some things. Don't be afraid of that. So be sure of what you want and why you want it, and it shouldn't be because of everybody's doing it or something like that. You need to know, and you can only know because you talk to people and you try.
Indeed.
So that's the process, because obviously I started saying I want to do investment banking at Lazare or
I mean,
then I tried many different things, find my path slowly, and decided that you see in the end it was very precisely. I want to do climate or energy investment in venture capital Series A in Europe.
Like spot on.
But it took years to get to that point.
It took years.
And a lot of questions to people, to myself. Internships. And you need to go through that route to then choose.
I think that's.
But in the end, you also need to not be too afraid of choosing.
Indeed. And maybe like after like that process, like, do you have any advice for someone who's about to start an internship and wants to make like the best out of it?
Yeah, that's a good question, because you need to get into the internship, but then you also need to learn a lot and be good at it.
Maybe you also get a return offer.
So two things. First, read a lot about VC. Don't be ashamed of asking your future colleague to send you some materials that you should read before joining. How you can learn, and also talking to other juniors, interns, about how they do things. And then second part, when you start the internship, just join our group. And then you can see other juniors with them and
then ask you whatever you want.
Exactly.
No, that's actually a really nice one.
No, that's the best way to do it.
In fact. And last question. Do you maybe have like a favorite book that you would like to advise people?
I should have prepared this question. I didn't do all my homework, but
don't worry.
I think it depends what you're talking about. If we're talking about VC, one good book is called. It was written by the founder of Waze.
Okay.
The app. It's called Fall in Love with the Problem, Not the Solution.
Okay.
I think it's a pretty nice book.
All right.
About how entrepreneurs think. And then as a VC, also what you should look for.
Okay.
So,
actually, I haven't heard of this one.
That's a pretty nice book. I read it recently, really liked it. And then you have many other books, like if you're talking about how to maybe structure your thought. A classic one from McKinsey is The Pyramid Principle. Barbara Minto, that's a good one.
Okay.
I still need to read it fully.
Okay, fair enough.
Go to the end of it.
It's in the list, but I think Okay, perfect. Well, I think I roasted you enough with questions. So for today we're good. Thank you again for coming on the podcast.
Oh, thank you for the invite. It was
right.
really good.
Thank you.